Hey guys, it's me, Faith Cawthon-Green, going live with War in the Spirit today. I wasn't planning to go live this week. I was taking the week off this week, but something came down my timeline today that just got under my skin, and I felt the need to speak on it. And so I just, y'all just understand that I'm feeling some type of way about this thing. So if I get a little bit worked up, it's just consider it righteous indignation, because sometimes I think that people try to hold the church and the leadership in the church to a higher standard than they're willing to hold themselves to. And so I was on my timeline, and I saw this article about John Gray, Pastor John Gray of Relentless Church, and the fact that he was wearing $5,000 sneakers. And I was just like, and so people were condemning him because he was wearing $5,000 sneakers. And they were like, well, how can you follow, a man? So I read some of the comments, and they were like, well, how can you follow a man who is supposed to be a representation of Jesus, who dwell with the poor? And I was just like, wow, hey Nick. And I was just like, what do you mean this man is not supposed to be able to buy what he wants to buy? Why are we scrutinizing men of God, people in the church, about what they buy, about how they spend their money? Like, the Bible does not say that you have to be poor in order to be righteous. The Bible does not say that you have to be poor in order to follow God. Like, where did this come from? And we just need to quit it. Nobody is coming to your house. Hey, Lauren Boo. Nobody is coming to your house telling you how you need to spend your money. And I saw some of the people commenting, talking about, well, he's spending the parishioners' money. How do you know? How do you know that that's the church's money and not his own personal money? That man has multiple streams of income. You don't even know if it even tapped into his salary from the church. We have got to stop being accusers. We have become accusers, and the word says that the enemy is the accuser. And so if you spend more time being an accuser, then you need to be asking yourself, what is it that you're being influenced by? Are you being influenced by the word, by the Spirit of God, or are you being influenced by the enemy? If we are always in an accusatory posture, then we got to ask ourselves, what's wrong with me? Let me look introspectively to find out what I need to adjust about myself. I mean, the word, let's look at Solomon. And I think it's 1 Kings chapter 3, I believe, where it talks about how Solomon asked for wisdom. He asked for wisdom and knowledge. And the word says that because he asked for wisdom and knowledge, the Lord made him prosperous. Let's look at Deuteronomy 28, the covenant. The covenant says that you will be prosperous if you are obedient to God. We have got to stop coming at these pastors and these leaders, because you don't know what they sacrifice in order to get where they are. All you see is them on this platform, but you don't know what that platform cost them. You don't know what kind of sacrifices they had to make in order to get there. You don't know what kind of stuff they had to give up to get to that place. And let's just be clear, it's available to you too. It's available to you too. The word says, for I know the plans I have for you. Plans not to harm you, but to prosper you. Plans for hope and a future. That's what the word says. God says, I want to prosper you. So why are we now looking at our leadership and saying, well, why does he get to wear $5,000 sneakers? Why is this man wearing $5,000 sneakers in the pulpit? Wait a minute. Is somebody coming to your house and going in your closet and saying, why did you buy those shoes? Why did you buy that watch? Why did you buy that Michael Kors bag? Why did you spend that money on them Jimmy Choos? Nobody is asking you that. Who are you to accuse the leadership and determine that they are spending the church's money on stuff for themselves? You do not know. That is judgment. That is judgment. And if you are an accuser, then you need to check the influence that you are under, because the enemy is the accuser. If you're constantly in a posture of accusation, you need to check to see what is influencing you. Are you in the right posture? Because let's just be real. If you're spending so much time worried about what everyone else has, you can't be worried about how you get what God has for you. You want prosperity? You need to go and find your own lane. Why are you worried about what God has somebody else doing? It's available to you too. The same way it's available for John Gray to prosper, it's available for you to prosper too. You just need to submit to God to find out how you get there. God, what do I do? What is it that you want me to do with my life? How do I submit to you? But that man had to make some sacrifices to get there. Those shoes cost more than $5,000 for him. I can guarantee you. And here it is. He's in the spotlight now. This is a platform that he's made sacrifices for. And now that he's taken the platform to be a voice for God, and he's still getting crucified. So not only did he have to be crucified to get to the platform, once he got on the platform, he had to be crucified again. So now ask yourself, are you a part of the crowd that crucifies Jesus? Are you a part of the crowd that crucifies Jesus? Or are you a supporter? Are you a follower? Are you a studier of the word? Do you know? Do you know? That's right, Kalia. Don't focus on chapter 20 and forget they had a chapter 1. Some of these people had to lose some stuff to get where they are. Some of these people had to give up some stuff to get where they are. And you're looking at them on their platform and the things that they lost, the tears that they cried to get there. Let me tell you something about ministry. It's not an easy thing to do. We look at our leadership and we say, oh, they prepared this sermon. They got up on this platform. They got this mega church. They got these cars. They got this money. But you don't know what kind of hits they're taking behind the scenes in order to stay in that position, in order to stay on the wall, in order to carry the weight that is required in order to be a minister of the gospel. There is sacrifice required. And y'all don't see the sacrifice, so you're okay with saying, oh, I can't believe he's spending the church's money on $5,000 shoes. $5,000 is a drop in the bucket of the sacrifice that man probably had to make to get on the platform where he is now. And you know what? When he got called, he probably didn't even want the call. God chose him. God called him up. Because of people just like the people that we are seeing accuse him now. This is why so many ministers don't want to answer the call. This is why so many people of God don't want to answer the call, because they know the scrutiny that the world is going to place them under. And for what? Because they answered a call. Because they answered a call. And you mad about some $5,000 sneakers that this man is wearing? Come on, man. That's ridiculous to me. $5,000 is a drop in the bucket of what is available to us. and what God wants to give us, the true prosperity that God wants to give us in our lives. But so many of us are too worried about what we're seeing in mainstream media, what we're seeing other people do, that we can't find our own lane. Really what it is you're mad because he found his lane. And because he found his lane and he answered the call, he also found the prosperity of God for his life, not just in his finances, but in multiple areas of his life. If you've heard his testimony about his marriage, then you know that they went through some stuff to get where they are. They made some sacrifices to get where they are. They took some hits to get where they are. But we're not ready for that. All we want is the end game. God, I just want the money. But we're not willing to pay the price to get to the end game. We live in this microwave society that says, God, I want it now and I want it easy. Just pop it in, hit the button, warm it up, and I'm done. No. You have got to submit in a new way. If you want to see the prosperity of God on your life, if you want to be in the place where God is calling you to be, you want to see everything in your life align, then submit to him, sacrifice to him. Stop worrying about what everybody else is doing, what everybody else is getting, because you don't know their story. You don't know their story. You don't know what they had to do to get there. You don't know what they had to give up to get there. You don't know where they had to live to get there. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know. So stop it right now. And what does the church look like to the world if we are supposed to be a part of this church? And let's be clear. The church body at large belongs to all of us. If you call yourself a believer, then the church at large belongs to all of us, which means you should come to its defense. When you hear somebody saying something out of line, believer or not, you should come to the defense of the church, because the reputation of the church hinges on the world's response to the church. So here it is, we're all out here and we're like, man, the world is so lost, the government is so messed up, we got Trump in office, everything is so wrong. But what are we doing to repair the world's perception of the church so that they come into the house? What are we doing? Are we just spreading the perception of hypocrisy to the world? We as believers are just fueling the world's fire to give them more reason not to come back into the house. We are supposed to be the example. Yes, there are some people in the church who may be out of line. I will give you that. I will acknowledge that. However, there are also plenty of people in the church who are in alignment. So why do we spend so much time talking about what is wrong and not talking about what is right? This is part of the reason why there are churches on every corner and still so many people who are lost. Because we're okay with being comfortable. We don't want to speak up because we don't want anybody to come against us. We don't want them to call us hypocrites. Well, you know what? Call me what you want. I'm going to tell you the truth. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If it's a spade, I'm going to call it a spade. Because we have got to recalibrate the world. We are the influencers. We are the influencers. It's not just our pastors. It's not just these bishops. It's not just apostles. It's not just prophets. We are the influencers. We are the salt of the earth. And guess what? Many of us have lost our flavor. Many of us are lukewarm Christians. You can't be in between. You got to choose a side. You're going to be hot or you're going to be cold. The word says he wants to spew lukewarm Christians out of his mouth. You cannot be lukewarm. Pick a side, commit to it, and be the influencer. Wherever your ministry is, it don't have to be on a huge platform. Your office can be your ministry. Your household can be your ministry. Your neighborhood can be your ministry. Your sports league can be your ministry. Wherever you are that God has placed you, he placed you there to be an influencer, not to be influenced. So if we are succumbing to the influence of the world, then we need to check ourselves at the door. We need to look at ourselves and say, well, okay, what's out of line? If I'm starting to look more like these people that I'm actually trying to draw in, I gotta check myself. Because that's what draws people in, when you look different. When you look different. When you're willing to go against the grain. When you're willing to do or say something different that everybody might not agree with. That's really what gets people's attention. When you look like everybody else, you just blend into the crowd. So we have got to stop getting caught up in the perceptions of the world. Because all it's doing is the enemy is just using it as a tool to keep us from the path that God has for us. We're so worried about the material stuff. Who cares about that man's shoes? I don't care about that man's shoes. How many people has he brought into the kingdom? How much outreach has his church done? How many souls have been saved under his leadership? I don't care about his shoes. I could care less about some $5,000 shoes. How much is a soul worth these days? What's the going price of a soul? What is that? Priceless. Priceless. So if he saved some souls and God rewarded him with $5,000 shoes, so be it. So be it. We gotta get in order. We gotta get in order. We gotta get in order. We spend too much time talking about focusing on the wrong stuff. And we're focusing on other people's stuff and we ain't got our own stuff in line. We ain't got our own stuff in line. Tiaqua, I was talking about, she asked, who are people tripping about? John Gray. There's an article I saw this morning about people tripping off the fact that John Gray had on some $5,000 sneakers. So that's what I'm talking about. And I saw a lot of people commenting about the fact that pastors shouldn't wear stuff like that and they shouldn't be flashy and that they shouldn't spend that kind of money. And if any of you like follow a lot of the stories, a lot of people were talking about the fact that a lot of people were talking about the fact that he bought his wife a Lamborghini. Y'all don't know where that money came from. That man has books. He does speaking engagements. He travels. You have no idea where that money came from. And stop assuming that people are stealing money from the church. Stop it. Stop it. Just stop it. Just stop it. We all want to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. But we always start with guilt when we're pointing the finger at everyone else. We have become the accuser. We have allowed the enemy to accuse the church. We have allowed the enemy to use us to accuse the church. That's insane to me. We believers have become the ones to debunk the church. We don't even need the world to debunk the church because we're doing it ourselves. We're unraveling it ourselves. And there has to be a shift. We're all asking for a shift in our lives. And I said this on Sunday in church, but we're asking for a shift in our lives. We're asking for God to shift the stuff in our lives. But we need God to shift us before he can shift the stuff. That's right, Tiaqua. There's too much to be done out here for anyone to focus on that. Right. That's right. That's right. We get caught up in the wrong stuff. Meanwhile, people out here committing suicide. Meanwhile, people dying from cancer. Meanwhile, AIDS is running rampant. Meanwhile, people are perishing, and we worried about $5,000 sneakers. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. We are worried about $5,000 sneakers, and people are going to hell. Because we're not on post. Because we're not at our post, the post that God called us to. And we can't find the post that God called us to because we're too busy worried about a preacher and his $5,000 sneakers. Stop it. Stop it. People are dying. They are perishing. They are going to hell because we have made a decision not to answer the call on our lives. And we're over here looking at a man who has made a decision to answer the call, and we are accusing him. Did you look at yourself first? Did you look at yourself first? I just had to get that out because I have a righteous indignation about that. It really ticks me off. And I'm so upset about the fact that we ourselves crucify our leadership. And I am not saying that if people are out of order, I'm not justifying that, okay? I acknowledge that there are some people who may be out of order. That's right, Tiaqua. People should be praying for him instead of judging him. That's right. When is the last time you got on the wall to pray for church leadership? When is the last time? Are we so busy worried about what they're wearing that we're not worried about their mental state, that we're not worried about the state of their families, that we're not worried about how they're doing so that they can minister to the people? Why? We gotta get in order, man. We gotta get in order. We're steady talking about the world and what's wrong with the world. But guess who's supposed to change that? Us. We are the ones that's supposed to change it. But as long as we're still out here talking about it and pointing fingers and saying, oh, woe is me, everything is so terrible, but you're not on your post, guess what? You're part of the problem. Get on your post. Find your place. Find your purpose, because in your purpose, you are an answer to a problem. Get on your post. You see issues in the world. Everybody got something to say about it. What are people doing about it is my question. Everybody will take to social media and talk about it, but what are we doing about it? How do we change it? What are you willing to sacrifice in order to see the change? Get on your post. Don't worry about other people's posts. Don't worry about how God has rewarded them for being on their post. Get on your post and then watch God do it for you. That's it. It's as simple as that. Get on your post and stop with all this accusation. Just stop it. That's all I gotta say, y'all. I love you. Thank you for logging on. I'll see y'all next week, but we gotta do better. We got to do better. I love y'all. Bye.